Maverick traders, welcome out to your market roundup. It's May 20th. Corey here with you. Let's jump in. So we're going to take a look at meaningful news, what's moving markets right now. We're going to talk about Nvidia, which reports earnings this week. We're going to talk about sector rotations, how critical that Nvidia earnings probably is to the broader markets, and then as always, highlight our very best up, down, and sideways trade ideas.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional stock and option traders. Maverick Trading is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional trader for Maverick, click the Apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So, as has been the case for the past few Mondays, there's really not that much broad market movement. Dow down 0.5%, NASDAQ up 0.5%, S&P and Russell flat. Gold and oil, again, oil down slightly, gold up slightly. Not too much happening there, but there was some news. JP Morgan came out and said basically that they're not going to be buying back very much of their stock, suggesting that the stock is fully valued at this point and that they don't think it's a good use of capital. And that's something that I look at that as a positive from the standpoint of a company being willing to do that, a company that's willing to kind of stick their neck out there. And it's not great for their own stock. It's basically saying, hey, we think things are a little overdone, and if there's market turmoil, we'd rather buy it back cheaper. And kind of speaks to that they think that the market is fully valued, potentially overvalued in their viewpoint. Jamie Dimon, the CEO, points towards retirement, talked about that they're shuffling people around, and that stock getting hammered on both of those points of news. Advanced decline line, about half and half, up and down. And then the 50-period moving average, as we've been seeing lately, has been improving, of course, as we've been trending higher. So, my viewpoint has been, and we touched on this exactly a week ago on Monday when I did the market roundup, I thought that we would spike above and maybe form an exhaustive type of candle and then plunge back below. And it looked perfect. I mean, the big attempted break, the reversal, everything looked great and set up for that kind of spike above and then plunge back below. Something happened though on Friday where as you sold off, you bounced off of the lows and buyers came back in. Now, is it just choppiness? Is it delayed? Do we pull back? Maybe, but it certainly is not ideal for my thesis and my expectation that we were going to kind of have this push above resistance that would trigger the stop losses, cause the shorts to cover, do all those sorts of things we talked about, and then get that nice little plungy move underneath. Instead, it tried to sell off and just couldn't do it, and we got to give credit where credit's due. This market has been strong. Now, it was hard to be bullish. I was very bullish on the market back here. We talked about this reversal and such, but I really thought this would kind of signal the end of the short term. And my overall thesis is that we're in a big rounding type of top. That markets so often will have V-shaped bottoms but rounded tops, where when you look back, it looks like, maybe it's a head and shoulders top, right? Here's the shoulder, a little bit higher head, then another shoulder, or just kind of a rounding type of formation. It could still be that. I mean, today's price action fell off of the highs, but you fall off the highs, then you bounce off the lows, then you fall off the highs. All you're doing is consolidating. And if you consolidate sideways after this type of rally, that's bullish. That's very bullish in that if the sellers aren't even willing to come in and really sell after such a nice move and we're this far extended from the moving averages and so on, then you got to give credit where credit is due. This market has an underlying bid and more demand there than what we would have expected. Maybe it's cash on the sidelines. I don't know. But to this point, we're not really selling off. Now, the big catalyst this week is one name. And as this company has gone So has gone the market, and Nvidia reports earnings on Wednesday. The implied move is in the neighborhood of 8 to 9%, which for this type of stock is a gigantic move, of course. I mean, you think about a 10% move on a $900 stock, it's moving 90 points, almost 100 points in Nvidia. And I'd expect that there's going to be some serious volatility. And of course, it's going to impact broader markets. The NASDAQ, here's the NASDAQ 100. Again, same thing, kind of broke above and then tried to come and plunge back below, but it just didn't do it. It stopped going down and bounced on Friday, and that was a big red flag. That was basically, the thesis was playing out perfectly, and now it's in trouble. It's in jeopardy. So back more towards, we had been bullish, thought that we would spike above that. This was my own personal thesis anyway. And then for a short term trade, move back below. I had put on personally some short term, really short term bearish trades in QQQ, for example, that chart we just looked at. I had on a bearish put butterfly targeting a plunge back underneath and took that off early this morning, first thing out of the gate, and just bailed on that trade, basically break even-ish, but it could have been a fantastic position. Could have been an 8 times reward to all these types of numbers, could have, would have, should have. It just didn't have it, and I had to tuck tail and run at that point in time. So you can see tech, a nice little bright spot here, certainly quite a bit of green. You can see Netflix in the entertainment space, Eli Lilly in the healthcare space. On the bearish side, here's JPM saying that their stock's fully valued, that they're going to slow share buybacks, that Jamie Dimon's retiring or not set to retire immediately, but on the cusp of retiring, and they're getting prepared for that and so forth. It was a lot, and the stock could not withstand it. So a big hit there. So weekly outlook and monthly outlook, as Rob discussed over this weekend, things are bullish. I had a personal opinion that we would spike above, so bullish, 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 but then get a little plungy move and maybe set a top and so forth. Right now, my thesis is I would say in the short term it's broken. We're just chopping up there. We've got some crossovers happening. The more it can hold up there, the stronger it becomes as just a possibility of higher and higher prices. So again, just have to remove it was a trading idea and thesis. I think it's broken. We look at possible bulls and bears. We've got a few names on the upside. The first two more in the commodity space, the third in international stock and certainly emerging markets. Chinese stocks, those sorts of things have been outperforming of late. On the bearish side, I really have names that I think are not Nvidia, and my personal kind of thought is that Nvidia has earnings growth and revenue growth and some of these numbers that are just extreme. And some of these other companies that trade at pretty lofty valuations might be seen as expensive by contrast and by comparison. Do you want to pay as much for some of these other names? And that's kind of what I'm working off of here, thinking that these could be negatively impacted by Nvidia this week. Would be the idea. So Newmont Mining, if we start in the commodity space, here's Newmont, recent consolidation here, ascending triangle or little mini cup and handle. Any way you slice it, that stock is breaking out, and I see no reason to think it's going to stop. It's rested and taking off again. If we look on the bearish side, AMD has had a nice correction. If you follow Elliott wave theory, kind of an ABC style correction, right up against that 50 period moving average and right back to where we broke down previously. So this was a little consolidation, and then we broke down old support, new resistance, old floor, new ceiling type of idea. And again, I think AMD could be seen as more expensive when compared to how much Nvidia is growing, and these other companies just don't have that type of stellar growth. If we look at Salesforce, put that in the same category of basically you've been in this downward trend. We broke down back here. You've rallied up in this 1, 2, 3 type of pattern, ABC. And where you should stall out is right there against the 50 period moving average and start to roll over. So Salesforce does have an earnings announcement. I think it's in 10 days or so. So be aware of that. But as a short term candidate, I was looking at that one as well. So market outlook, really it's consolidating after a nice spike higher, and Nvidia may be the big driver of volatility and movement for this market this week. FOMC minutes come out on Wednesday. We've got more companies reporting lows. Nvidia, like we talked about on Wednesday, Snowflake, Target, Toll Brothers, Workday, and others. Thanks everyone for being here. Hope you enjoyed the market roundup. We'll see you next time.